and or to the channel. I have just sat here for the last 10 minutes trying to get this. The sun will drop down probably here in the next 15 minutes. I cannot, for the life of me, get this thing dialed in. Like right below my visors is the sun's coming in. So, what do we got here? And I was playing around with that, and I forgot to turn the volumes down. Cool. All right. So we that sun's really screwing me up. I might just take you guys back here in the sleeper and just kind of go over some stuff real quick on what I'm going to do for tonight, dinner-wise, and go from there until that sun goes down a little bit. So I don't think I brought anybody back here since I did the when I first got this truck. So basically the sleeper, but big boy fridge. So this thing is what it's waist high to me, but yeah, let's see, kind of go over some stuff here. And that battery's charging, my Milwaukee light went out. So as you can see, yeah, I do have a Coke in here. Customer gave me that last week. I use that to barter with other customers when they do me a solid and just give them a reward. Got some spinach dip for my Tostitos. I've got some filet mignon cut up, cottage cheese, blue cheese crumbles, deli meat, provolone cheese in the back, my communion. This is that S.E.E. I was telling my wife about. Went with this over doing energy drinks. I've been addicted to an energy drink for many years. I started weaning off those here this last month, and I put one packet of these in a bottle of water, and that holds me up pretty good. Salsa, and here's the other thing too, is I've been trying this Kinder's. Got sweet sesame seed teriyaki sauce, and this one I really let's see, that's one, the golden barbecue sweet and tangy. Where's the other one? There it is. This one I really like, and I use this with when I make my wraps and or when I've got meat in here. So anyhow, oh, and I do these Tostitos wraps. So instead of using bread, I've been using these. This has been a little bit nicer. I can warm up the meat and all that, but none of that in there. And yeah, I've definitely noticed a difference. The way I've been changing my diet in this last month, I've really tampered down a lot of my inflammatory markers, aches and pains and stuff like that. So the CB, but anyhow, that yeah, down here. So I don't know, I got a lot of my dry goods back in there. So kind of trying to figure out what to do tonight for dinner. Get y'all back up in here. I am at the Loves in Covington, Virginia. So we'll keep you guys there for a hot minute. But yeah, as far as seeing a lot more companies going out of business, the big thing is that Montgomery, flatbed company out of Alabama. I actually stayed at the TA truck stop in Mineral Wells, West Virginia last night, And one of their trucks was parked in the back lot where I was sitting, because the back lot was totally empty, so I had a lot of peace and quiet. But I told my wife, I took a picture of it and I'll put it in the community post. But I just wonder how long before, they come and fetch that truck and what that's going to cost. Because basically they've told all the drivers, 1,000 drivers, if you're near the terminal, bring it in. If you're near your home, park it. The owner had enough money to pay, make payroll. But the problem with that is, and what the problem with most of America is everything is leveraged up through venture capitalists or private equity. Private equity is going to be your hedge funds, places like BlackRock, Blackstone. For this one, it was One Equity that was the private equity that was funding Montgomery. And with that, they pulled funding, basically. So PNS is another company. I don't know if that was another investing company or a trucking company, but they came in they were going to keep the doors open and keep the drivers rolling. But the owner, the founder of the company, he had a small part in it because the private equity owned most of the company. He just said, no, shut the doors and file Chapter 7. So I think what it was is with PNS coming in, he was just going to break even with it. And he wasn't going to profit, trying to sell it or anything. So who knows? So yeah, that's the kind of stuff that's been going on. Since 2019. Many companies they're finding if they're leveraged up and interest rates go up on banknotes to if these people are having to roll their debt over every 3 to 5 years, they're finding if rates go up, they can't roll their debt, and it's going to cost them more. It's kind of like when you do a balance transfer after 12 months with a credit card. You get 0%, you wait the end of that 12 months, find another credit card, roll that balance over into that one on a 0% debt, and that's what a lot of these companies are doing. But now that interest rates are going up, it's pigeonholing them. So I'm going to turn you guys around so you're not just seeing half of my face. But yeah, that sun's really just torquing away there. And it's kind of hard to get a good glimpse. I'll just put you right there. Cat scale and everyone racing through. So yeah, I feel bad for those guys, but yeah, he was just going to break even with PNS, so he just decided to close the doors and stop everyone from rolling. In the last 5 years, not have we seen tens of thousands of trucking companies go under, as we talked about in the last week's stream, but previous streams. Many companies, office jobs, white collar jobs, a lot of people were, seeing that people were taking advantage of the extra money, whether it was PPE or if it was other companies that were prospering during this, I want to say the scamdemic, 4 or 5 years ago, as these companies were, making bank because they were selling their products were flying off the shelves because everyone was ordering from home while being shut down. And like the trucking industry, the rates went up. So the Great Resignation was, and I put in a description, this Great Resignation, people were just quitting their jobs. They weren't even coming in. They weren't giving 2 weeks notice. They were just quitting and getting another job, right then and there or later that day because other people were needing to fill positions. And granted, this is all before this AI balloon started happening this year. So people were leaving and they were chasing the money. Then came, when the money slowed down and started drying up, then came, this silent quitting. And that was basically a lot of folks were going to work or working from home but they were doing the utmost bare minimum. It's just like what's his name from Office Space. You know, for every given day, he probably only works 15 minutes total in an 8-hour day. And that's basically what people were doing during this silent quitting, is they weren't going over and above, and they weren't doing any more than what was required of them. And now it's the job hugging scenario where people are loving their jobs, blessed and happy. And I've been saying it all along. Be thankful and blessed that you do have a job, even though a lot of people were pretty ungrateful these last 3 to 5 years of their position, and jumping around, job hopping, and what have you, to find serenity, or I want to say equilibrium. But really, do you? And with that, a lot of folks are now getting stressed and just a little scared, because if AI comes in and takes their job out, a lot of these people are leveraged up. Car notes, mortgage note, credit cards. I mean, you're going to see, I think through the end of 2026, you are going to see a shit ton of mortgage foreclosures happening as tons of people start getting laid off all throughout the industry, white and blue collar, you know, in the sense. Blue collar, as far as like manufacturing or doing jobs like myself, people, the economy is constricting. People don't have the discretionary money to go spend. And let's see if this helps any. So people don't have the discretionary money to go spend on over and above their needs. You know, a lot of them, I hear people, I can sit in my shop at home and I can hear people going by. Mufflers hanging off their cars, brakes are half-ass working, squeaking when they use them, wheel bearings going out, the cars sound like crap because they can't afford, you know, they're lucky if they can afford an oil change, and they're getting pigeonholed, they're getting pinched. And you think they're going to have the money if they can't even fix their maybe their only mode of transportation to keep it maintained, you know, tires, brakes, the necessities, the safety stuff. You think they're going to go out and do a Carnival cruise? You think they're going to go out and splurge at Disney or do anything, or even go out and buy new household appliances? They may be on Marketplace and just throw in whatever, you know, ratty piece of shit, as long as it works and keeps your food cold and it cooks your food. Right now, people are getting pinched hard. And 2 years ago, we hit the all-time high. We were in the, like, 1.3, almost 1.45 trillion dollars in consumer credit card debt. Everyone is living their life off the credit card. And the way I look at it is, if I got to go over and above my needs and it's going to take a credit card to get there, then I don't do it. I bow out of doing any discretionary stuff, whether it's anything that's entertainment, anything that may, you know, include, even like when I took my vacation, it was supposed to be putting windows and siding on my house, the one-man show here, and I ended up backed up and booked out with all detailing that whole week. I'm not going to turn making money down. I'm going to, you know, continue to, find ways to cash flow, especially in a down market. And when I have extra money, right now, my mantra is to get all my debts paid off, and I'm bum rushing them. I'm throwing the fire hose, garden hose, and any drainage I can to put out every debt I have, and then it's going to give me a different outlook, but a definitely different mindset going forward. So yeah, now the new thing is job hugging. People appreciate their jobs, and right now I think a lot of them aren't getting so cocky to say, you know what, I can go across the street and go work for Joe Schmuckley And that's not happening now. People don't have that freedom to do that. And now, the boss man, boss lady is not, such an a-hole. Be thankful that you've got a source of income coming in if you're an employee, and or if you have a small gig or business that is still prospering and making do to where you can cover your bills. Because at the end of the day, the only thing you need is food, clothing, and shelter. That's the necessities, that's it. And when I say food, I mean water included in that. Food, water, shelter, and clothing. So if you got all that, you're doing good. Better than being homeless, wrapped up in a blue tarp from Harbor Freight on a sidewalk, shitting in the street. So you got to think, right now, you can go into any major city, and I even go through some of them cities. They're there. That's happening right now as we speak, every single day. From East Coast to West Coast and all the major metropolitan towns in between, people are living that way. Whether they over leveraged and became homeless because they bought more than they made and everything got taken from them, repoed, foreclosed, what have you, or they became drug or alcohol addicted and put themselves into that scenario. And it's one thing, you got to have positive people around you, uplifting people. You can find yourself going down the road of many toxic people and you don't know it. And you never know that it's even your own family screwing you over. And you got to be aware of your surroundings, situational awareness, whether you're walking into a store or just the people that you surround yourself with. You always got to keep your head on the swivel over that stuff. So the sun went down finally. It's really nice. So yeah, so we'll just put you there and see what happens in the lovely Love's Fuel Island, which this place, it gets to be a little bit of a turd show now and then. But I'm going to put some pictures in the community post. I thought I had it on video, but the video was not working. On my phone, I went up, but there was 3 Prevost buses, like chartered buses from Miller Charter, whatever. It said Miller on the side, black and white. But yeah, they had protesters that dumped off out of the bus into the Loves to get some snacks and supplies. So yeah, they were on their way to a protest. Didn't say, but a few of the truck drivers were lighting up the CB when I got in here. A few of them went in there and confronted them about shit. So a lot of them took a stand on it. I meant some words to one of the bus drivers on, the piece of shit he is to transport these people. Me, myself, if I was a bus driver and that's where they were going, I'd get off the bus, say I quit. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to promote this. But, yeah, so anyhow, yeah, I meant some words to the bus driver. He hurried up and scuffled into the bus and shut the door. But I stood over on his side. Kept my choice words going. So, these people being paid by people like George Soros and the Democratic Party to go out and terrorize and do these streets. You don't see that with the other group. But, what a bunch of lowlifes. So, but yeah, so this week went pretty well. Last week went pretty well. I just started this week. I ran 2/3 of West Virginia today, all the way from southeast Ohio, all the way down north of Bristol, and then back over here. And definitely ran through the mountains today. A lot of mountain driving. But got about 1/3 of the trailer unloaded. But yeah, see, the last 2 weeks I had a brake switch that it's got electric plugged in on one side and it's on the manifold for air operated on the other side. it got gummed up from all the moisture and stuff that got in there, rusted up in there, and it kept my brake lights on my way back, um, 2 weeks ago. So that was it took them longer to go get the part down at Freightliner than it was to replace it, but they took them like 30 minutes to replace it, got it fixed. And then I got in last week, and my visor here above the phone, it broke, and it was flopping around up here. So I was thinking about bungeeing it, but they had one in stock, and picked that up, threw it in myself. So no harm, no foul. But yeah, little anomalies, little things like that going on. That, when these trucks start racking up, like I'm coming up on 460,000 miles. This truck has had a boatload of stuff done to it, and hasn't even hit 500,000 miles yet. And the things that have happened to this truck shouldn't have happened till it's at least hit 700,000-800,000 miles. And so yeah, that right now it's still trucking away pretty good. All day yesterday I was doing 9192 miles to the gallon. We did do a comparison with our day cabs. Our day cabs, which I had doing this route and staying in hotels till it was becoming cumbersome to find a hotel out in the middle of nowhere. And they are the Cascadia day cabs with the 13-liter Detroit 450 horse. And every time I fueled up, I had to get DEF. With this truck, 2-3 weeks ago, I ran 19 stops, 4 states, 2,700 miles. I went through, I want to say I'm carrying around, each tank is 120 gallons, so I'm 240. And I went through, basically fueled up twice that week. I want to say I was around 350 gallons, but I never touched the DEF that whole week during that 2,700. Ended up only using 14 gallons of DEF, whereas I want to say those day cabs with the smaller engines are using about a third more than I'm using, and I'm popping off the same or better mileage. So it says a lot. And a gentleman last night, when I was at the TA cleaning my windows, he saw me with the hood open, and he goes, "You got a unicorn over there?" And I looked and I said, "That turd?" And he goes, "Yeah, you don't see too many Cascadias with a Cummins engine in it. They're, pretty much almost standard with a Detroit." He says, "Not that they don't come with them, but it's rare." And I said, it does better than our Detroit. So if we could just get through all the hiccups and the anomalies. But I thanked them for it. So I said, it's taken me over a year to get all the bugs ironed out of it, but I think we're good now going forward. But oh yeah, before we get going anymore, I keep forgetting to tell you guys, hit that like button, comment, even after the live stream, put a comment in, and if you need to address something in another stream discussion, be more than happy to address it. A lot of people have been commenting lately, this last 4 to 6 weeks, on that video I did probably over a year ago on the DOT coming in the truck stops like this one, the Loves, and doing inspections and all. And I just said, I think if they were pulling you off the highway, which I-64 is right here next to me, if they were to follow you in, I'm sure they could do an inspection without having to do it, roadside, if this deemed a more safer haven. But should they be able to? No. I don't think they can just pull in randomly, even if this Loves does not have, usually they got their own repair facility at these Loves, as like the TAs or Petros, but to roll up onto that private property and start tagging these guys, like putting them out of service because they see something when a guy is sitting there waiting to get in the shop to get something repaired. I absolutely do not stand for that. and that's crossing the line. But yeah, a lot of guys have been commenting on it, and they just, you know, I think it depends regions of the country and where some of these guys have an ego and to flex their authority. So that's about where I can just kind of draw the line on my conclusion. So I don't believe all of them act that way, but it's just some of them got to get a power trip when they get get that badge and a gun and some authority behind them. But no, and the wife and I have been discussing on this channel going forward in the future, you know, how we want to handle things in the format. You know, one day I'm not going to be driving, and we want to flip the script on this channel, kind of like Alex has done with Mother Trucker. And when he got out of the truck, you know, he put more emphasis in the like trucking news and getting out the truck stops. But we're kind of laying out some stuff and days of the week, what we may cover on topics on and all that. So I got kind of a rough draft and a basic layout of things I'd like to do Monday through Friday. Won't be anything right now, so if anybody from this employment is thinking I'm quitting, no, but I got to be thinking of the future. I can't think just for tomorrow. I got to think of where my life is going to be in 7 years down the road. I'm not going to be able to keep this pace up forever. So I'm definitely strategically putting things together so I have an exit strategy out of trucking, and I can still make money but not be reliant on a employer, to say the least. So still got a lot more to do, a lot of work ahead with all that, but it's in my head, and it's going to get laid down into being done through action. And that was the other thing. I got some other stuff that Tony Robbins had talked about. I listen to him quite often, and he had a lot of powerful things, but the one was your job, what you do doesn't define you. Who you become is what defines you. And that was pretty powerful yesterday, Sunday, when I was listening to him. And, you know, you can be the best at your craft, but you can be the biggest asshole. And an example of that is a doctor. I have seen people that I like a certain doctor. Okay, why is this? Well, their bedside manners. All right, they may have good bedside manners, but they're green behind the ears. And do I want them? They can be the biggest asshole, but man, I'll tell you what, if they're freaking awesome with their fingers on doing heart surgery, replacing a heart valve, I want that guy in there. I don't give a shit how much of an asshole he is. So here's this female driver, and she, let's get you guys, I turn you guys around, and then shit hits the fan here. Come on, turn around. Got a female driver over here. She's pulled down the other end. She about clipped this guy's hood. She was backing up here. She went by me, looking around. Yeah, she's going to park on the other end there. So what I want, you know, do you want bedside manners, or do you want someone that's good at their craft? But in the end, other than what they do good, their persona and their person in society pretty much is like, yeah, but I don't want to be around that person after such service has been done or anything of that sort. So, you know, not only do you got to be good in what you do in your craft, but also be a good person. And that's the trifecta that the wife and I are going after, is when we get debt free and we are positioned into the next paradigm of what I'm going to do in life, outside of trucking. The big thing I'm going to do is, what did I just said this yesterday. I can't go in and look at my footnotes because I'll take the live stream out. I did that once before. What was it? Boy, if I could recite it. It was the three things. It was that, but the third one was tithing. It just to give back. And I've learned through many people in the I want to say investors, people that have built businesses from scratch, when they have made it to where they're successful and they have paid off their debts and they have come into a surplus of income, they tithe at least 10% of that. And I said, I want to give back, but I want to give back to a charity or a foundation that directly affects people, and not just someone like these sports players. You will see so many sports players, give to Tom Brady Foundation or whoever's foundation, or charity. Well, yeah, they set those up because they're tax strategists and their CPAs like, dude, you gotta do some tax write-offs because of the money you're making. So it's just like I don't want to say a tax shelter, but it's a tax write-off, and that's what it is. If these guys weren't making the millions, these guys wouldn't have a foundation or charity to be to give two shits about. But I wouldn't give to anything like that. But I would give something that I can see and visit that directly affects changing people's lives or children's lives. So I don't know what it would be, but I told her, I said that. I had a lot going yesterday, and I was literally voice texting so much footnotes for this live stream, and I didn't think about transferring it over so I could see it over on my tablet down here. So I apologize for that, but I was able to recite the Tony Robbins one. But yeah, there's a lot of good that can become of this world, and you can, if you want something done, you got to take action, and you got to be a doer. And to sit around and hash it out and use immense words that of what you will become, or that it's get out, get doing, take action, get something done, and time will prevail what you're doing, because you're grinding away at it, starting a business, becoming more successful than people ever anticipated of you. It's like time, and we talked about time before, people needing to have more patience in our society. Time in the aspect of when, say for instance, worst case scenario, one person in a marriage is an asshole. I don't want to say infidelity, but let's just say the people get divorced because one's an asshole, one's just a pain in the ass to live with. I can't do this, they're a narcissist, whatever. And what do they do when the marriage is splitting up? And I've seen this not only with myself, to say I can change, we can all change, and you can change today, tomorrow. But what people want to see is, can you handle that change with endurance over time? And after 25 years of been divorced and then remarried this last 13 years coming up, I've changed, and it took me the first 10 years to make that change, but people saw that change because not only did I make the change, but I stuck with it. And that's what people need to do. They got to stick with it. They got to put the time in. When they say putting the time in, it's just, you got to show that you can you can do what you say you're going to do. And we've seen that with people that come and work for you. If they're employees, you got to put your time in to show that you're going to be consistent on coming to work on time, and persistent on doing the job safely without creating bodily harm or tearing up equipment or property. But they want to see that what, this person over time is worth putting money in, compared to a guy that or an employee that may come in 6 months and show very little of what they have, without, I want to say, complaining a lot. And because once that starts happening, you kind of know that the door is pretty close to them leaving. So let's see, put you guys back out here and watch some of the back 'em ups. I think that's the last spot, and it's not even a parking spot there on this end where that blue truck's going. So he's creating a spot. I parked down here. This is designated parking where I'm sitting, but this guy next to me, he has the last spot. Then that guy backing in is taking a crossed out lane, because the Catskill there, everyone will start stacking all the way outward this way towards me from the Catskill, and once he gets cleared. So yeah, that Catskill, everyone will start stacking this way. Well, if you park down there on that end where the front of your truck is staring at the Catskill, I've been boxed in once where I had to go knock on doors and move trucks so I could pull out of my parking spot, turn out. So here, obviously, they're not going to have people out here, because that'll block the fuel island. They'll park over here where that guy is right there. They'll park out there and they'll stack up, but they won't come up so far where the fuel island guys can't come out and leave. So it's all about when you park at night. And I've always found this, even when I did the day cab in the hotels. Look at, when you park the truck, what is your exit strategy for the morning? And is there a possibility that some wahoo's going to come in and box you in? And then we had to do that at a hotel in Fort Wayne. Had to go and get the plate and look the guy up. And then we had to go pound on his door and have him. He was a hot shotter. And yeah, he parked down at the entrance of the hotel, and he was blocking all of the contractors, including me, in. So we told him, get his damn ass out there and move, like, right now. Because he was like, well, I want to take a shower. Dude, you move it now. We're all leaving. We have work to do. And, or the hook was coming to, and tow him away. So how he got away with parking like that. But yeah, that's the whole name of the game, is just setting up your exit strategy to get out. Never leave yourself, it may look great and convenient until you wake up in the morning, you find the whole parking lot's just covered in trucks. It gets to be kind of hilarious if you don't plan accordingly. But what else we got? You have the Bish Pact. You have the Bish. What's the Bish, Laura? Who's joining us tonight? Where are you working at? If you're still there, Laura, and listening, and everyone say hi to Miss Laura. She's our moderator in there. You have the Bish Pact. I don't know what that second comment of yours was, but anywho, so yeah, and these guys, see, they're already coming out. They're coming off from on an angle there, so they're already starting to stack up over. I bet you if I get out, you can see they're stacked up over there by the Catskill. This place packs in pretty good, but if you get here by 5 o'clock, you're sitting pretty good. But I've never had come in here and not been able to get parked correctly without putting it out there in a non-parking zone to where it could be, someone knocking on your door, or yet someone hit you. So Oh, but yeah, other than that, this has been going good. Trailer is packed like a sardine can. And watch, I'll turn you guys back here. And then something will go on out here. But yeah, we got another driver coming down catching the overflow. So we're staying pretty busy. Um, we've got some new personnel and customer service that's going to help our sales force that's out here on the road, going to help them push more of our product, more than our bread and butter stuff, but other stuff, which is going to help keep the trailers loaded when I come down here. And so I'm looking forward to that and seeing how that's going to pan out here over the winter months. Not looking forward to winter though, by any means. And I know Tommy out there at Trucking Unfiltered. He's already like he's already chiming up on, yeah, winter's coming. Yeah. I tell you, man, I would not want that route, boss. I'm getting too old for that crap. But he's running like Chicago to Denver to Idaho and then back across. So 80. So yeah, he's got the Wyoming, Nebraska, and all that jazz. No, thank you, man. I've had my outlaw days. I've done all my cowboy shit. My cart's full. I've done what I've had to do anything to prove. But yeah, I definitely wintertime. It's I have my hands full here in the Appalachians, and luckily though, my freight isn't on a tight time constraint as others who are contracted to, as a third party contractor, you're picking up and you got to be delivering somewhere because you're the in between carrier hauling it, whereas we haul our own, internally we haul our own stuff. So anyhow, I can just call the boss lady, which I have. Louisville took a blunt of snow back in 2021 or 21, 22, but just people walking across. I'm just watching traffic. Averett's just kind of doing a U-turn. He's circling around. But Louisville took a brunt of snowfall. They don't have the equipment, and I had to go down to Bardstown. Bardstown had called me, the customer there, and said, "Don't come down here." We left at noon. And he goes, "I live 45 minutes away, and it took him an hour or 3 hours to get home, or two or 3 hours to get home." He said, to me, it was like, they got 5 inches of snow. That was a lot for them. For us in Michigan, it's just another day. And they don't have the equipment nor the salt or materials to dissolve the snow and move it, push it away. So I got around the circle on Louisville. I had one customer waited for me, and then I ended up bringing about a third of the trailer back to Michigan because the customer's like, "Dude, we're shutting down. We're going home." And they were down. I want to say that was a Thursday, and they stayed shut down the rest of the week. So there's no sense of even staying around or hovering around town. They said they're not going to open until the following week because it takes them 2 to 3 times longer to get the snow removed, the snow and ice. So, but yeah, I don't know. And then Tommy hit me up right before the live stream here, and he went by Battle Creek on his way to Detroit, and he was hoping I was going to be in Michigan, or he didn't know if I was in Michigan. I said, I'm down here. He's up there. We're trying to hook up and get together and do a collab one day. I'd like to be in person instead of, he and I can sit down in a chair and just chime in a little bit. He's got a hell of a story on being in trucking and his trials and tribulations of getting going in the industry. Pretty cool to follow someone that's, got himself on his feet and all that, going through that, and being an owner-operator, especially during a shitty time of the markets just chasing, having a penny pinch every single thing you do out here because there's no margin. There is zero margins in this trucking industry. People have asked if my wife and I had started a trucking company. I said, "Are you kidding?" It's like I'm going to go down and give the Indians my freaking paycheck every pay period, down at the casino. And I said, it's a gamble. It's that kind of a gamble that I would not leverage in. Well, it's like Montgomery. Montgomery started, I want to say started. Montgomery brought in a private equity to fund them, to back them. But when they said, you know what, you're a liability, they started cutting bad assets off their books, and so they stopped funding. And that's what you're going to see with a lot of these private equities. They're going to pull out of a lot of businesses, and a lot of those businesses are going to go under due to that, because that's, private equity or venture capitalists. Venture capitalists are the ones that they'll go out at Silicon Valley and invest in some new project or something, in lieu that it's going to give a good return. Because obviously these guys aren't going to put money out unless they know they're going to get a return. Trucking industry is shitty right now. Margins are near zero. So they knew, hey, there's not much in return on this trucking company we invested in, so we're pulling funding. And it's cut and dry. It's pretty simple to see it without having to go under a microscope why the funding stopped and why companies like that. And there's other companies, look at Yellow, mismanaging of funds. Look at First Brands, that they're a private equity that bought up all the auto parts like Fram. What was it, Fram? There was a few brands that went bankrupt because they over leveraged, because they had too many LLCs within that umbrella, and they were leveraging on every LLC, and it ended up tanking. So when you're not getting the return you need to cover what you paid into it, so if I was to say give someone $10,000, I would hope that I'm going to get paid back with a certain percentage of return over a period of time. But if that investment into that, say, business or whatever's cash flowing that asset, and if it's not doing it, just like a rental property, people will take a look at it. If they have like 15 rental properties, they're like, yeah, but 2 out of the 15 are running a negative. They will sell those properties, find a property in an area that will make money. You got to cut the negative fat, and that's what private equity does. That's what hedge funds do when they throw money out, and or the margin calls when things are due in, when things go below a certain value. So you have to understand that if you take money out on leverage to invest, hopefully you're investing in it, not going off and taking money like your house. Your house, say, has equity. Don't use it as an ATM and you go out and you leverage money against it to go buy yourself a new camper, a new boat, or a new toy, or take a $15,000 trip to Disney. That's not going to pay you back. So now you're more in the hole on that with less equity or no equity. So whenever you borrow equity out of an asset you have, put it in something that's going to give you at least 2 to 3 times more spread than what that money was currently in that you borrowed it from. And or don't move it, don't touch it. So now is not a time to be investing in any big ticket items. Only tangible assets is what I'm looking at, where I can store my capital, put any of my capital in areas that's not going to be affected and not to the volatility of the stock market and all that. Because a lot of the crypto guys got hammered last Friday. And there was some people that committed suicide. One guy lost he was up $30 million on his crypto, and then by Friday night he was out $30 million of his crypto. Yeah, a lot of these guys just hold too long, and they should have sold off some of their crypto and put it over into an asset that would not have been affected by that. But it's going to continue to get worse. At last week was the beginning of much to come on a downturn in the markets. Stock, crypto, housing, it's all coming. So to go out there and throw good hard-earned money into some high risk or liability is a fool's game. You'd be better off to throw that money at the Indians at the casino and hopefully spin your luck there. But anyhow, I see no one's got much to say here. I was looking for Miss Laura to chime back with me. I don't know if she's still there or not. I was trying to figure out that second comment you got there, Laura. You have the Bish packed. The Bish or the refrigerator? I don't know what you are saying there. So, but kudos to Miss Laura. She is having another medical surgery coming up, and we're getting prepared for that. My employer has been more than generous. They're going to pay me for that little bit of time off. They work hard to make sure, and that's just it. I put my time here. You have that bitch packed? Yeah, I do. There you go. All right. But that's what I was saying earlier, and that's a good example. I have put my time here for 11 years. When she has something coming up, and they know over the last decade plus, when she's got a medical thing going on, that I have to take time to sit with her either at the hospital or recovery at home, they help me out. They don't ever pause, hiccup, or anything. How long you need? If you need more, you got it. They help me out, and that's where you got to appreciate your, where you're at and who you're working with and for. When they respect you that way, you have a tendency to go over and above for them when they ask you to, without hesitation. And that's something a lot of these younger kids, younger adults, I want to say younger adults, don't give to employers or maybe people they work with in business. It's all about mutual respect, and if you want respect, you got to give it to receive it. And if you're just going to act like an a-hole or entitled, spoiled brat, then you get what you get. But yeah, you got to be a good person. So overall, and it takes time to show that. You just you can't be a good person this week, and then next week you're back to being the classic a-hole. So it's every day you got to be that good person. If you're not, look yourself in the mirror and figure out why you're not. I mean, you gotta recognize it for yourself. Yeah, just show you guys back here. So we got the zoo going on. It's really going. I pulled my glasses off. I didn't realize the sun went down. I was like, boy, it's gotten dark. Oh, geez, that's a female driving the Peterbilt there. Step deck. Yeah, it's like a newer Pete. Definitely looks like a newer step deck. So, what is going on? Got the horns honking out here, so... Oh, it's Warner down here. Look at Warner. Warner's down there blocking the exit. See, he's trying to get out. They're all getting mad at each other. Ah, that's typical. Surprise, surprise. Whenever someone's having a problem backing in or something, you just look at if it's a mega carrier and you're like, well, they're fresh out of the school farm, so who knows? But no, it's been pretty good for us. Try to get some stuff done around the house before snowfall, and then we'll get the laptop kind of dialed in by the end of this month. I've got that router. We got to look into it because Tommy did say that he goes, watch your router from T-Mobile, because RVers have found that they got themselves dinged for when they're, if they're not at their home address and they're out on the road traveling around, and when they go to log in and they see that you're at a different area, they will tack on an extra fee for that. So that's something we got to look into and see if there is a fee, how much that would be. So we don't, I want to say, ding ourselves too financially bad to have a Wi-Fi router in here in the truck. But that would help, because then I could use my laptop and stream from there and able to pull up some pictures, because I would need to be on my laptop to really converse with you guys on things I've done in the past, like the BMX Supercross. I got that happened back in the day before YouTube was a thing, and video recording and all that. 8mm camcorder. Not the phones, not the GoPros. That stuff didn't happen then. So remember, I was in a different era before all this stuff happened. Like all the stuff I've done building my truck at home, and guys are like, well, I don't believe you. Where's the video? And I'm like, yeah, dude, I built that truck before video, recording, doing everything, from taking a poop to mowing your lawn to washing dishes. Everyone's got to have a camera on themselves. And I'm like, no, dude, you just went out and you built a truck in your garage. You didn't just sit there and run around with full production of like, look at me, look what I'm doing. Da, 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 da. A lot of these guys are just a bunch of tool bags. So I got off all the forums. I thought, hey, it'd be kind of cool to be in some truck clubs and all that. And I was like, nah. Found out real quick how much of a douche rockets these guys are. So I said, no, I got nothing to prove to them. So to hell with it. And okay. Yeah, the cheesy outside is with Miss Laura. She was commenting there. We got the 2 wiener dogs at home, so it's getting to be 7 o'clock. So yeah, it's that witching hour. She'll probably have to take him out one more time. He's an old boy. He just turned 14. He's had a couple back surgeries, but it's a love-hate relationship between me and him. But I'll have to. I wanted to live stream last weekend, but I ended up working Friday. I was supposed to work Thursday in the warehouse, and come to find out, my license for the fork truck has expired. So I went in to the CEO and I said, we now have a person in there that is CPR certified and OSHA certified, so she can certify us on all of our warehouse equipment. I said, get me in ASAP, because I don't want to miss an opportunity. And that's what I've said before, is make yourself a valuable asset with your company. If you're an employee of a company, don't be one-dimensional. Don't just do one thing. Put yourself out there to be able to do a variety of stuff to be more of a valuable asset for the company. And in turn, when you go over and above learning more than just your one craft, and you learn several stuff to be very valuable throughout the whole industry that your company works in, it gives you better leverage when you want to go in and ask for a monetary raise. Because not only, people go in and they demand, I need more money. Well, you need to present to them what you've taken on this past, year or two since your last merit. And that could be, hey, I went and got certified in this. I got trained on that. I now cover this, know this. And you want to present that you have upped your game, became more of a valuable asset to them, and to show them, just don't go in and pound the table demanding more money when you're still the same person that you were a year ago, 5 years ago. You haven't progressed or done anything new, to say the least. So that's the one kick I always have, is you better have a couple things in your back pocket that you've done since you were in last for a merit, a raise. And if if you haven't, you might want to look around and see, you know, you could go in and ask, which I've done. I said, how can I be more of a valuable asset to this company? What more can I bring to the table? What more can I take on and learn? And I've done that with these guys several times, and it drives my boss lady nuts. She goes, Jesus, the only thing left is for you to run the company or be a manager. And I said, I'm not managerial material. I kind of have an unfiltered mouth when it comes to whiny adult people. So I don't usually keep my mouth shut on that. And I think they found out a few times. Yeah, there's been a few times. And and my wife had to go in one time. I had to apologize to then the old HR director, right, Laura? My wife sat me down and made me apologize to her, but I went off like a rabid mongoose on her. And so I usually got things to say, and I don't hold back, and I don't care about feelings. I let them have it. So I'm kind of abrasive that way. So I've got to learn. I've learned to keep my my mouth tamed in a way, filtered, and then there's times when I'm not filtered. But it just depends on the moment. So that was kind of I did earlier. I did about the buses that the Miller Transport chartered buses were here hauling the protesters, and I told them. I said I meant some words with the one of the bus drivers. He was honking his horn and just waving. Yeah, I made sure he was number one. He was the number one driver out of the three buses. So, but other drivers went in and definitely pigeonholed a lot of those guys and told them how ignorant they were and all that. But by the time I could get logged off, because I didn't want to be logged in, and I had to change out of my uniform. So by the time I got up there, most of the people were in the buses, but the drivers were still standing outside. So they saw me recording, and which I thought I was recording, and it was not. So go figure. So I don't know. I might as well just take my damn GoPro up there for all it was worth. Oh, but I got a snapshot of the buses, but that was it. So, that's terrible. It's just a terrible society we're in when people have to act that way and harbor terrorists and people that do harm to others, but yet don't want harm done to them, because then they're the ones always walking around as a victim, even when they're not being harmed. But oh dear Lord, when you harm them, so it's usually the you want to hear my unfiltered sense? It's usually one of those fat pigs with nose rings and tattoos and rainbow hair, and basically they stand out like they don't have a effing job, and they stand out in the middle of the damn road screaming and protesting and carrying on and going after, whether it's law enforcement or first responders or maybe a truck driver like me trying to get through a roadblock of theirs. So too many people are too nice to them to try to reason with them. I would not be that guy getting out of the truck to reason with them. I would be the guy going over there and probably laying them flat out. But that's just me. That's my hostility when it comes into those situations, because they don't respect others when people have to go to work and they block a road or anything, and these people are just trying to do their civil duty and being a good citizen, and yet these people don't give that shit, because good for thee but not for me type thing, but these people have a thing coming, and one day when they they're gonna meet the wrath of somebody that's gonna come up, and they're just gonna tangle with the wrong person at the wrong time and get laid out, and they deserve it. So I don't know. I think capital punishment should be brought to all 50 states of this country too, because You know, how do you harbor a child molester, a child rapist, um, in jail, and just let them sit there and live it out? I'd say, you know, some of these guys, you know, or a person, you know, someone like Charlie Manson. It's like, let's just parade him around for decades until he died in prison. But you know, there's times when you're just like, you gotta go. You're a burden on the system, and you're never going to be a contributing factor back in society. You know, there's going to be a handful of those folks, and yet, you know, especially the ones that go out and actually do harm and kill people. So, but that's my take. That's my opinion. So that's all it is, an opinion. But yeah, if you're going to stand in harm's way or create harm, then don't act the victim when harm comes to you. So that's that. I've been on here for an hour and 5 minutes. So I'm going to let it go here. I want to get back there and warm up some food and throw on a movie. Good day tomorrow. The mountain driving got out of the way today, so thank goodness for that. And when I say mountain driving, I mean the back roads, switchbacks, narrow roads, and all that jazz. But tomorrow's going to be a little more easier peasier. So a lot more unloading. I'll have more of the trailer unloaded tomorrow. I should end up in somewhere around the Corbin, Middlesboro, Kentucky area, in that corridor of Kentucky tomorrow. So that's going to be my guess right now, unless things go sideways. But it's been, you know, life's good. Job hugging. No, I knew I've had a good job long before we had this whole Great Resignation, the silent quitting, and now the job hugging. You just got to know, and your employer will know, and people, even if you know you're in a good industry, in a business, if you own a business and you like what you do in that business and it reflects, people will give you the business. They'll keep coming back, and word of mouth will help grow your business because of that. So therefore, being a good person just helps, whether you're in your own business or you're working for an employer. But you know, if you're the a-hole in that sense, or the a-hole at home, and you know that your neighbors will not come out and talk to you, will never come out and help you, just know you probably burnt some bridges being that way. So other than that, folks, I appreciate y'all being here. Life's good. Things are looking great. Yeah, just give you a little shot here of the mountains. So that's looking west. And see the, you know, that's the sorry, that's the light down on the floor behind me in my ambient lighting. Thought that was, at first I thought it was a jet stream, but yeah. So this is the kind of views I get time and time again. And would I be able, I think next time I'll talk about healthcare and what we've done in healthcare, how I got there, in, you know, a little more open discussion, and why, you know, basically how I got out of it, and you know, being here. But that's going to be another discussion in its own right. But I thought it was a bill. I want to say, oh, someone sold me some swampland, and I bought it, and I thought it was going to be the best thing since apple to go to college and become something differently, and it did not go as planned, and it was kind of a lot of a letdown when I was in healthcare. There's many other avenues I could have taken that would have never racked up student loan debt, let alone wasted 5 years of my time in the education and indoctrination system. And I could have been doing something probably a little bit better in that amount of time, and then the 10 years working in the healthcare. I mean, I met some cool cats in healthcare, some cool doctors, but overall, if I was to do it over again, I wouldn't have gone down that path. But we can talk about that on another live stream. So appreciate y'all being here. Be good, be safe. Knowledge is learned, not taught, and we will see you all in the next video.